Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. I'm focused on changing the game. I'm in total control. It was written in the scroll. I'm keeping it simple and plain. My pedals to the floor, no less and no more. Cause I'm destined to manifest change. Cause I'm destined to manifest change.
Welcome to the Manifest Change podcast, brother. How you feeling?
Thank you for having me. I'm feeling very good. This is my first sit down of this type, so I'm excited.
Good, man. Good. It's going to be exciting, man. It's my kid brother, man. Been, my day one A1, man.
You already know.
Is on the show. So if you're new here, Manifest Change podcast, what we discuss on an episode by episode basis is growth. We discuss responsibility, and it's kind of centers around mentorship, which is what we do. We are a mentorship-based nonprofit. And today's discussion is just going to be a chat, man. We're going to chat with Dante. We're going to learn more about him. And we're going to pull lessons out of his life story. And it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. So first things first, man. Dante, why don't you tell the people who you are, man? Tell a little about yourself.
So I'm 34. I am a professional. I work in retail. Hello.
Shout out to Metro by T-Mobile.
I am a full-time parent to my godson, Makai. I'm fun. I'm the funny guy. I'm the guy I'm the fun uncle. I'm the fun friend. I'm the funny friend. I'm all the things of the things. I'm the person that you want around when you want fun to be had. So
ain't no doubt about that. And that's that's the cool thing, man. Like, you're a guy that has to be around, man. Like, every time there's a family function or something and you're not there, I feel like people get sad, man. It's like, where's Dante? Where's Dante? Because you do bring that fun, you bring that energy, which is a defining characteristic that you have. That's super positive, man.
I appreciate that.
For sure. So we're not going to do like an expose or anything like that. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, right? Didn't work for us. But before we get into anything specific, man, what do you think people misunderstand about hard lives? Would you say that you've had a hard life, man?
Hard life. I don't want to complain in this space. I have faced many challenges. Yes. But I've had a lot, I'm going to use the word again, I've had a lot of fun in between. I've got a lot of good memories, and I've had a lot of growth. So hard life, I won't use that, but challenging life and one with many obstacles, yes.
Yeah. And so we're trying to be extremely vague here to protect the innocent, right? And so, all right.
I like that.
I think it's cool that you say that you don't necessarily think that you had a hard life, because I would have to agree. We were raised, to two Christian parents, right? We had same mom, same dad. For those watching at home, keeping score.
Because it matters.
Yeah,
and those are dying.
It's just details. It's context.
Yeah.
We always had a roof. We always had clothes and shoes. Occasionally I would get signed up for sports. My brother had his band stuff. Well, you didn't start really band until middle school?
I started band in 6th grade, yes.
But the bottom line
I didn't have a thing, but I was happy I was the cheerleader for you. Sports were your thing. It was known. So my thing came later.
But the main thing is, it's because we technically didn't have a hard life, right? But there were some hard moments.
There were challenging moments. Yes, there was.
Yeah. And we worked through those, man. So before we go any further, I was just getting ready to bring up another question, but the bottom line is I can agree that we didn't have a hard life, but we had hard moments. And so part of what we want to kind of go over today is we want to teach folks how to sit in those moments, how to reflect on those moments, but how to break through, right? What that breakthrough looks like. You know, it looks different for a lot of people, but just because we didn't have a hard life, that doesn't mean we didn't go through hard moments.
Right.
Can you relate to that, Merris, at all? Just that line of thinking.
As far as having maybe not having such a hard life, but having hard moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. I could think of a few things. A few times where I had hard moments because just like your parents, you know, I grew up with both my parents, but coming from the environment that I came from in Spanish Harlem, a few incidents that happened within my family, you know, it made life rough, but it built character, right? It builds character. It puts you in a position that we all are in today, where we can sit back and reflect, and we can pass down the things that we've learned from those experiences. It's all,
Amen.
yeah, yeah.
I love that, man. And so I would like to start this episode on a high note, right? Because we could talk about all the many hard moments all we want, right? But we should just lead with the positive. So you're sitting in a beautiful home right there. You got yourself a nice little townhouse, right? You got you a car, you got a dog and a bearded dragon and a young man that calls you dad, man. So for all intents and purposes, you're winning right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm maintaining a home, yes. I'm raising a kid, yes. And I don't want to. I'm not saying that to be like negative. I'm just it is what it is. It's surface level. Um, you know, some people will look at it as winning, and some people look at it as those are the core things that you're supposed to do and have. So, especially as being a parent. But I would have to say, is I'm blessed that I do truly believe, especially with how I with how I mix, I guess, responsibility with fun. You know, I would have to say, I think I'm very blessed to be able to do it this way and make it every day. And Makai, you know, he's wonderful. He's happy. He's healthy, making good grades. So, you know, I would like to continue to elevate, but we're the coast that we're coasting on right now is not bad.
Yeah, man. And would you venture to say that you're successful?
I think so. I think I'm successful. Based on some of the challenges I faced in my early teens, or excuse me, my late teens, early 20s, and the many of doors that were not even open, let alone closed on me. I would have to say yes, I'm a successful. Okay.
I would have to agree because success is relative to the person, right? And it's relative to, I guess, your environment, right?
Yes.
Wealth, you know, is one of those things where, you know, some people attach wealth to actual money. Some people attach wealth to having four limbs, right? Having a home to live in, having food to eat. And so I would have to agree, Dante. I do believe that you are successful because everybody looks at success differently. So I would congratulate you for overcoming the things that I know that you have overcome.
Yeah.
And being able to hold down the things that you're holding down and doing it with grace, showing up to work, you know, paying your bills. I think that's a true success. Now, Merris, what is no, Dante? Has your definition of success changed as you've gotten older?
Um. mm,
So are you where you want to be right now?
no, I'm not.
Let's unpack that.
Yeah, I'm not where I want to be at all.
What is
I'm
your
where
definition of success then? What does that look like for you?
well, I need to be. I have many talents that are unused based on my current job title. I'm a store manager, for Metro by T-Mobile. And again, not trying to downplay it, but I deal with facts. And anybody that knows me knows that my brain capacity and my skill set far exceed store management. I'm blessed again for that. That is working for me, financially, but I'm not where I want to be. I'm where I need to be, as far as the responsibilities that I have, but by the track and of the time and work that I have put in, I should be probably 4, maybe 5 steps further.
Sure. Sure. But also think about where you've come from too. You know, go back 10 years, maybe. Yeah, maybe 15 years, right? Would your 10 or 15-year previous self be proud of, the things that you've accomplished and where you're at today? Or
That's a very nice question. That's a very nice question to set up for a very positive response. Yes. My 15-year ago
junior
self, correct, would look and probably be like, damn, how did you end up in this seat right here on this podcast? How did you do that? And I know how I did it, but that person, that self doesn't know, speaking in the way that we phrase this. So when you put it that way, yes, it is. I wish I could be a lot more prouder of myself, not taking away anything from how proud I am of myself, but I just know that I belong in a better place. And this year I am set on taking major steps to try to do that. It's not like I haven't taken steps before, but we're really diving deep this year and really going to try some new things.
I love it. I love it. And, we have the word manifest in our name, and on everything I love, man, I'm manifesting this for you, man. I really am, because I know your story. We're not going to tell it today. Okay. I know your story. I know the challenges that you faced. And I do believe that you will, not you should, but you will succeed because of how talented I know you are. And
thank you.
I truly believe your 15-year younger self would be amazed at what you've been able to accomplish at this stage of your life. But how do we get there, right? How do we? So we're framing this on the front end. We're describing your life as a winner because you are a winner. But we've kind of skirted around the fact that there were some challenges along the way.
Yeah.
Right. And so what are some things you think you could have done differently up to this point?
Well, the major thing I could have done differently was like not get caught up in the rush of the fast life back in the day. I had a couple of petty thefts, and as petty as they were, they have caused me great setback in this good old Commonwealth of Virginia. And I know, and I say that because I lived in a different state for 3 years and I did very well there. And I had a couple of opportunities where that wasn't necessarily an issue. So that is the main thing I would say that I would have done different. I'm impulsive. So a lot of the trip ups and stuff that I've had, not making excuses, but a lot of those come from the impulsivity of just my chemical makeup. And I could even say that, I guess, about the theft, but it's like I do know right from wrong. And so, that's kind of where it's like, okay, you do have that impulsivity, but you got to let your right from wrong kind of take the lead. And that's hard for me. That's hard. I mean, I am so much better at it at 34 years old, but I don't think I've ever said that out loud in that way. But right and wrong is kind of hard for me. So, trying to better manage that at a younger age, I think is what I could have done better.
Yeah. I can definitely see that. It's basically like managing your inner voice, right?
Yeah, because I believe that I'm a good person. And so that always trumps when I make the right and wrong. If I'm making a wrong decision, I feel as though because my intentions are always positive, my intentions are always for others. I'm empathetic, things like that. So if I decide to, steal some shit from a store, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to rationalize it as their big business. They hurt us every day with, inflation and jacking up the price, the markups and stuff like that. Or um, let me see. If I'm in a happy mood, you know what I'm saying? I'm in a good mood. And I come with good intentions. I don't think it's far fetched to run up and talk to strangers in a questionable neighborhood at nighttime after 11. You know what I'm saying? So those types of things is kind of what I mean. I may, want to skip a tax year. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, that doesn't directly harm a person. So that's what I mean by right and wrong has really kind of held me back from major, major growth. Again,
Yeah.
we're here, but you know what I mean.
I do. And watch how I flip this now. One of the main things that Manifest Change is all about is the mentorship piece. And we in episode 3, we had Cody Che on, who was very, very brilliant 19-year-old that Merris had the privilege of mentoring and is still cool with today.
Nice.
You should go check it out. Yeah,
I am.
on our YouTube.
Yes, sir.
But thinking about Cody and thinking about what it is we do here, do you think you could have benefited or benefit from having somebody to look up to that can kind of help steer you and guide you along the way as you were trying to figure out how to be a productive member of society through those earlier years?
Yes. And I do have to do the brother thing again because you stepped up. You were there. It intensified as you got older and you started to hit some milestones and, check some things off of your professional and mental list. But, 100%, I wish I had someone that was like really just fiscally responsible and just, was no nonsense and that core. And that was probably from 17 to 22 is where the bulk of the major impact for later in life challenges was created for me personally. And I had support, but I didn't have the mentorship. So that's nobody's fault, but it just wish that it was available to me. Or if it was available to me, I wish I could have recognized it then that it was there.
Yeah. It's tough, man, because I also agree. I had a hard life. I had hard moments in my life where I felt alone. I felt like no one understood me, and I didn't have anyone in my life through those hard moments that would really hold me accountable for my actions, right?
Yeah.
You had mentioned that you have some sort of like impulsivity thing and you're very empathetic and things like that, which impacts your judgment. All that's valid, all that's valid. But for the big stuff, right? For financial decisions or just any type of life strategy, it would have been nice to have somebody, man. And I feel the exact same way. Merris, can you pinpoint like one or two people along the way for you that were there for you, or no, because that's why you created Manifest Change?
Always, I'm gonna always say my parents, right? My parents first, and then I would say my teenage years. I can name a gentleman, especially after my mother passed away, who played a big role. And then after that, once I got to the military, a chief that I had So in the very beginning of my life, those three individuals, they played a pivotal role in that, in setting me up. Now, did I listen? That's a whole nother story, right?
Exactly.
That's a whole
'Cause
nother
that,
story.
Yeah.
And Dante, I just want to say real quick, hey, I commend you for being able to say, or recognize, where you're at right now and where you're striving to be. That's big on your character.
I appreciate that, Merris. I appreciate that a whole lot.
Yeah, there's obviously a big difference between being told something and being ready to hear it, right? Being ready
Yes.
to hear it, internalize it, and take action.
And
Yeah,
that's
that's hard
the
for a lot of
biggest
people.
thing. And that's the biggest part, right? It's easy to at 34, 45, 40 years old to say, hey, I wish when I was 17 I had someone. But the biggest question is, at that time in your life, where you're going to be able to actually sit there, accept what that person is saying, and apply it.
Exactly. And I don't know. And I don't know at that time, because I'm going to tell you something. When I finally, this is what it was. When I came out of the closet and I met my core group of friends who 75% of us are still friends to this day, it was like some level of freedom was unlocked. I don't know. I had a certain, the impulsivity thing it was not a thing. And we had each other, and we were all, we were working, but we didn't have any money. Most of us didn't go to college or like a big college. So we was just out there working and partying on the weekends. And
There
in
was no
between,
accountability.
there wasn't much accountability. I was grown, you know what I'm saying? So mom did her darnest
Shout out to Mimi.
yeah, shout out to you, mom. And I need you to hear and see me when I say you did your part, but it was only so much you could do. We have our own story of how we got to that part. But yeah, it's I don't know, Merris, at that time if I would have been willing to receive it. But what I can say is there's only one person that I think might have been able to really yoke me up and hold me accountable early for some stuff that could have prevented some stuff later. And that's Ron Anderson. Shout out to Ron.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've learned over the years is that even if you weren't receptive at the time, the things that people have told you, it sticks with you.
It does. And that is the good part. That is the good part. I took a substance abuse class at 19 because back then, believe it or not, marijuana was still like a jailable offense in Virginia. So I had got pulled over. Quick story. Promise it's going to be quick. I had got pulled over going to a Virginia State concert, not for doing anything hot. I had a license plate cover. This is what I mean by just stuff happened. And we was on the way to a homecoming concert, and it smelled like weed in the car. So they searched the car, didn't find any tangible weed other than roaches in the ashtray. So I was charged first offenders. But I had to take a class, and I wasn't arrogant in the class. It wasn't like I don't need this and da 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 da. But as far as outward putting, but I think in my mind at the time, I was like, I'm just trying to get my certificate. Where I do still partake in recreational, marijuana and alcohol, also can recognize habits that kind of go along with those items too, if you want to take it a little bit deeper. And I learned those in that class over 13 years ago, to where at the time I didn't feel that it applied. So it might be what contributes to me being able to, at least for now in my life, kind of balance it out. Because if I feel like it's doing too much or doing something, I internalize it and I try to work through whatever is going on to dial that back.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when young men resist guidance, it has to do with respect, man, I think. And that's where fathers come into play. And now, Merris, you said that your mother and your father were mentors and leaders for you. And shout out to your mom and dad, may they rest in heaven. But it's like, it just underscores the the role of the father, man, because I can tell you this, I resisted guidance, even when it came from people that I knew cared for me, like immediate family, coaches, and things like that. But it's because I was hurt and I was unhealed because of micro traumas that had occurred that I didn't really have anyone to talk to about them. And I made a lot of personal choices based off of those micro traumas and not having anybody that I respected or who cared for me, or I respected or cared enough about to listen to their warnings. And so it led me to a place where, bad credit, substance abuse, jumping from bed to bed, and just getting to a real dark place where I just didn't even care what I put into my body at one point. And so, shout out to all the dads out there, man, who are there and they're present, because the dads are the ones who are supposed to be the rock and the foundation of the teachers, and unfortunately for my brother and I, that just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So who you spend your time with matters, obviously. You said that you had a group of friends in Lynchburg that held you down, but you felt like they didn't hold you accountable for your actions. How important is it to be held accountable by your friends and family?
I don't want to say didn't hold me accountable. Me and Julian were a force, not too many things have happened adversely to me since Julian has passed away. But me and Julian, there's members of that group that will be honest and say what needs to be said. But and even Julian, I guess we had our own thing, but it was like when we had each other's back a certain type of way, to where it was like, we'll figure it out. You'll figure it out, I'll figure it out, or we'll figure it out together. So at one point, the group didn't communicate as often. Everybody was kind of branched off. And again, it was always me and Juju, honestly, at the core for me. When it came to decision making or a new chapter in life or things like that, that's, as far as friend wise, that was my person. So
were there other members of that group that were like kind of dragging you down? Said differently, do you think that your environment shaped your decision making, or were you just acting independently?
So in the earlier years, where again the bulk of the stuff, because what happened was I did so much in a little period of time that was impactful to carry up to this point, and there's been micro traumas stemming from those early mistakes. But I was outside, my friend. I wouldn't put that on my friend group not holding me accountable or also making terrible decisions, because I don't believe that to be the case. I believe it to be who I am, as far as the impulsive part, and just the environments of like always going out or always being focused around partying and stuff like that. And where, we're 34 and 40 now, where it would still appear to, you and your family that I do party a lot. It bears no weight to what I used to give. It just doesn't. I don't go, I never was home, and it was like Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. You know what I'm saying? And that was for years. So I think the lines were blurred as far as like what was really super important to me, mixed with the impulsivity. It might have made it a little bit easier to make poor choices. But I don't attribute that to my friends. My friends are a large part of the reason why I'm still standing. My core friends, who I've been friends with for a long time, if anything, have been through the ups and downs, and some have had detrimental mistakes, some have had no mistakes, but they've all been there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Make no mistake. The ones that are still here, love them dearly, love them down. Okay. Great, solid group. I'm more so focused on the mindset of the young adult, right? I'm trying to reach, we're trying to reach folks in that 15 to 22, or, maybe as old as 25, 30, folks that are still trying to figure things out. We're trying to kind of help them feel like somebody understands them. And so that's why we're kind of going this direction here. And so there are patterns, right? And there are patterns that young Black men especially fall into repeatedly. One of those patterns that I can relate with is just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Insanity.
Is that really the definition, or that's just what they say?
I believe the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Terrible pattern. So you say you want to be successful, you say you want to have money, and I'm not talking about you, I'm just saying to the young man.
No, I hear.
But you're going out 3 or 4 nights a week. You're spending all sorts of excess money on alcohol and drugs and women and things that really don't matter, or things that won't offer you any type of return. Is that just a symptom of being young, or is it just a symptom of not having any guidance?
I mean, none of us are psychiatrists or therapists, so I don't think there's a right answer for that. But if you look at the measurable data, it is probably an even blend of trauma, male presence or leadership presence, but male leadership, because it's like we have a very strong mother that showed everything that needed to be shown. But it just goes to show, as young men, you still need more. And that's, so, but back to what I was saying, I think that I do think it is a blend of things, but the younger you can reach someone, the better. And the more real shit that you can spread and share with them, the better. I make a lot of decisions and do a lot of things in front of Makai that a lot of parents probably cringe at. But if I think it's really, really cringy, or if he is inquisitive about something, we go deep into the education piece of it. I don't worry about him. I really don't worry about it. Unfortunately for him, he's had a lot of pretty severe traumas very early, but he's resilient as crap. He knows what he wants. And so I would like to do that for lots of other young men and women. I would love to give that, because kids just want the real. If I do this, what might happen? I'm watching this a couple times a week and I see direct results of what happens when you do this or do this in excess or blah, blah, blah. That only gives them a fair chance, in my opinion, to form their own opinion and choose the right path.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Because we just didn't get that, did we, man? We had to just wing it, man.
To no fault of our parents, we're all millennials. All 3 of us are millennials in this group. And
well,
you're
I don't
millennial.
know about that. I think Merris might fall under the eldest. The eldest millennial. He may be teetering on Gen X, but yeah, continue.
Okay, so
so what? The disrespect.
You know what? You didn't have to do all that.
I know. Every time age comes up,
Merris.
Every time age comes up, it's just funny, man. Because honestly, no, on the real, like Merris is like a doggone mentor to me. And I told him that a couple of weeks ago. Merris is 45. I'm sure he doesn't mind me sharing his age.
Well, there it is.
And
I ain't really have to think so, did I?
We know it's already public knowledge. We've said it in more than one episode. But
so where I was going with that,
go ahead,
was we come from, our parents are products. Is that Gen X? They're products of the boomers.
They're boomers, yeah.
The baby boomers were some rug sweeping MFers. No shade, no tea. That's just what it is. And so our parents did the best that they could, speaking from their extremely, Tyrell downplayed it. They are from an extremely religious background, both of them. So I think they did the best that they could to try to break out of the shell and show us that where God is important and to keep him first, you know, life does exist outside of the church or outside of being perfect or being perceived as perfect, you know, and both of those families, I would say, you know, our parents' families kind of struggle with that. I don't want to get too much into that because I'm not trying to bash. I'm simply trying to provide clarity. And so now where we are as parents, we have the opportunity and mix that with the kids that see all this stuff on social media and stuff like that. We have the opportunity now to really just live around children. You know, all that stay in the child's place and all that stuff, you know, to a certain degree, that's a thing. But like it was way overused, you know, when we were growing up. I don't know about you, Merris, but with me and Tyrell, there was like things that, and we weren't bad kids overall. So we didn't have that slapped on us many times. But I'm just talking about how we grew up, you know, close, direct first cousin interactions and aunt and uncles and grandmas and nanas all put together, you know, us as.
So let me say this in regards to your question. It was extremely, well, not even extremely. It was definitely as you're explaining or describing, because as if all of my cousins came over, it was, hey, y'all go in the room and play. You know, stay in the kids' place. You know, stay out of grown folks' business. You know, only speak when spoken to. So I know exactly where you're coming from.
And to raise a child with manners, some of those things do apply. But if you're having a gathering at your home where your child lives, it is far-fetched to me to banish them to a specific room of the house to where if they come out of it, it creates some type of disciplinary talking to or action is what I mean by the extremities of those child plays and stuff like that. So I got off. I'm sorry about that, but that was just, we have to talk to these kids and they need to know the real stuff. They need to know about how to get their credit cleaned and all that stuff. Definitely. But you got to mix in what you went through and how it was done wrong when you were that age, what you were doing in order for it to really stick.
Right. Because a child is going to be an adult way longer than they're going to be a child. So you have to prepare them. You have to prepare them. That's your duty as a parent.
It is. It's you have to teach them responsibility, right? They can't learn responsibility once they're out of your house. Okay.
No.
You have to model, not only that, you have to model the behavior that you want them to subscribe to or whatever the case may be. And so I don't think it's a bad thing that Makai is exposed to certain things. I think there should be, and this is just my personal opinion, you should filter it some. I don't think he should be exposed. I don't know the extent, but I think you should filter it some because he still has a child's mind. But I do believe at the age that Makai is, and we're speaking about your son, Makai, real life conversations need to be had. And I know that you're having them, you know, because being responsible for someone else changes how you think. Right.
100%.
Yeah. And I guess, how has that changed how you think, because if you think about the beginning, or you think about while you're in your, quote, wildest phase, how has Makai's presence changed you?
So immediately there was responsibility, because when his mom asked me to be his godfather, it was more like a permanent father role at that time. No shade. This is, not a diss to his dad. His dad is there. He's great. But at that time, it was just not like a typical, godparent situation from my interpretation of what a godparent would be. But if we fast forward to, I told you guys I lived out of state for a little while. When I lived out of state, close to the pandemic, right before the pandemic was official, our arrangement became more permanent, and suddenly it's like I can't just up and do this or up and do that. More specifically, at the time I was working, getting over an opiate addiction. Actually, I was taking Suboxone, and when Makai came, I had already transitioned into that. But I didn't. It wasn't because I was going to quit at the time. I'm just being honest. It was because that was available, and I just kind of was like, okay, I'll do Suboxone for a little bit. But when Makai got there, we had a moment, and I will never forget it. Just tell this quick story. I always get like weird about it. I know Makai like the back of my hand. I always have. But I made him some dinner one night, and he didn't want to eat anything on the plate. And in unstable, mental, crazy fashion, I had a total and complete meltdown. And I just attributed that to not the meltdown per se, but like me not being locked in. You know what I'm saying? And it was from that moment where I knew that I cannot do opiates any longer. Because I already used marijuana. I already drank. My brain literally was like so confused, and it was harmless. Makai, he hugged me, loved on me. It was like, it's okay, I'll eat it. He tried to sit at the table and eat the food. I mean, it was this whole thing. But I promised myself at that point that was going to be it. For those, once I was able to go through those and get to a point where I could safely stop altogether. So that was the biggest impact that having a child full time for me, as somebody just being, willy-nilly partier. If I feel like partying, if I don't feel like partying, I don't. But it's like having to make decisions like that, even about substances. It just changes that. I mean, it should. Mm-hmm. It's not, everybody isn't as fortunate as I was to have that light bulb, switch.
Thank God you did.
Thank God. Thank God. And I'm so real with Makai, that we talk about that. He knows about my addiction too, because he deals with things where I didn't feel like it was fair, for it to be all pointed in one direction, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So I have shared that with him, No,
that's good. These moments, it doesn't matter how they happen. It doesn't matter why. I mean, how they happen, as long as it happens, man. You had that realization that, the freak out just wasn't justified, and you identified the cause of it and you removed it. So kudos to you, man. You pulled back when it was necessary to pull back.
That was literally the first moment I realized that this was like real. That I
even after some of your close family advised you, it took that moment.
It took that moment because I looked at his eyes and I just did not. There was something missing as far as like how we have been. And mind you, I'd been gone 3 years. I'd seen him plenty of times. They came up here. Y'all came up here several times. I came home always for holidays and stuff like that. But it was that disconnect. And I knew what it was because I was free to do whatever when I was up there.
Mm-hmm.
I had a one bedroom.
He was confused. He was confused about the freak out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And crazy. So upset for upsetting me. And it wasn't fair. But I mean, that's why I'm saying he's been through some stuff. Like, it wasn't like I wasn't throwing stuff and stuff for the viewers that want a vivid picture, but I was sitting like I'm sitting here and picture where my phone is. Makai's standing in front of me because he's 7. And I'm just bawling my eyes out. And he's like, it's string beans.
Yeah. Man.
Like, seriously,
it's that mutual respect. It's that mutual respect, man. Like, you realize that 7-year-old is looking to you for guidance, man, and he's receiving some feedback that's confusing to him, man. It shook you to your core, man. I can see how that would be impactful. I can see how that would be impactful. And you know what, man? Thinking about this conversation, I know that you gave me some props, earlier in the episode, and you constantly give me props, but I wish I was a little bit more there for you, man. Straight up.
You always say that.
I know, man, but like I know, I was in Hawaii for a bit, and I was doing my thing out there, but I wish that I would have reached out more, man. But of course, there are other factors.
Yeah.
But I think with the time change, the time difference, and everything is just real challenging to align, our schedules and things like that. But it's just like a missed opportunity, because I feel like if I was a little bit more there for you, maybe some things would have been different.
I mean, at the end of the day, you were there as a brother and more. And I can receive that you say that, but I can't let you sit in that like I would high five you to that, or you know what I'm saying? Because you did a lot. You did a lot. You did more than a big brother should have to do. A big brother, in my opinion, should be there for the boost, for the gap fill-ins, for the redirections. And we both know you did way more than that. So it's totally okay. At the time where I probably needed you the most, we can go ahead and put a bow on it. That it wasn't going to be received and applied all the way.
Yeah.
The things that I wanted to receive and apply from you, I did. And I did. The things that I didn't want to, I grinned and nodded, or I straight up rebelled, and we moved around from it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
just grateful to where we are. And you and Merris have this lovely Manifest Change podcast. I think it's perfect. I'm very honored that you guys have me on here, and I hope, this time next year we can play this back. And I'm on here for my third or fourth appearance, and we're talking about how different it is next year, 2027, than it was from this year.
So let's make a plan. Okay. One of the themes, or one of the subjects or topics that we are going to discuss on this show is goal setting, right? So why don't we do a quick goal setting exercise real quick? Will you indulge me?
Sure. I don't have a choice.
Let's think about it. Yeah, you don't have a choice because you're stuck. You're on our show. Think about something that you'd like to accomplish in the next month. Okay. You don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to write it down at this moment, but think about one thing that you think that's reasonable for you to obtain in 1 month. Okay. And then think about one thing that you would like to obtain in 6 months, and do the same for 1 year. And then come back, when you come on, in a year or so, tell us what those things are. And if you achieve them, we'll give you a cookie. We'll give you a cookie. But honestly, though, it can be that simple, man. Manifesting is real, right? Creating something just from a belief or a thought, right? Or multiple thoughts over multiple periods of time, or just as simple as writing things down and believing in yourself and executing is a very powerful thing, right, Merris?
Oh, definitely, man. Dante, even the thought of, you just said, me and Tyrell, we're doing this podcast, Manifest Change, right? To piggyback off of what Tyrell just said, this was exactly that, just a thought, right?
Yes.
It was just a thought. And to be honest with you, your brother, he encouraged me to do it, and had he not encouraged me to do it, it probably wouldn't have been done, because I probably didn't even have the belief in myself that I'd be able to do it.
Yeah. So
that's one of the most important things. You got to have that belief, that internal fire to, let's say, that no matter what the obstacle is going to be, because, your brother just said, hey, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, in 6 months, a year, right? Write that down. But also, I would say, when you write that goal down, also write down what you perceive, the obstacles that may come about that will prevent you from reaching your goal.
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times when we prepare for stuff, right, we only prepare for it to go good. We don't prepare for those obstacles that will stop us. So then as soon as we meet those obstacles, right, we get discouraged. But if we already put it in our mind, at least I believe, if we already put it in our mind that, hey, this is obtainable, but they're going to be good and bad days, because that's what life is, right? Good or bad.
Yeah.
And that's what you're teaching your son, right? Good and bad days. But if you say, hey, I'm going to have more good days than I have bad days, when those bad days come, it's nothing.
Yes. I would actually have to say that's kind of where I'm at in life. I really am. I believe that every day is a chance to wake up and start fresh, no matter what's going on. Because if you let those bad days string together, it gets real ugly.
Mm-hmm.
There's a quote.
What do we always say? What do we always say? Got to string together those wins, baby.
Life is about how many wins you can string together consecutively without a loss.
Man, I tell you, that has carried weight over the years, hasn't it?
There's two. That's one of them. And then what was the other one? Let's see if you remember. I always tell you.
The other one. The money thing. Don't be afraid of money.
Hello.
Yeah, man.
When Tyrell first came home from Hawaii, those were the two. We had a powwow. Don't get me to line what the set was, because we were wilding in 2016, 2017. Yeah. But those things stuck because they're, you know, the don't be afraid of money has served me very well with being a middle to lower middle class, where I'm at right now. It has really worked, because it's like, you got to spend it. You got to pay bills. You got to buy food. You got to have some fun. So just spend the money and just do what you need to do to make it back 10 times over.
Well, we should tell the audience what your fear was prior to that realization about not being afraid of money. We got to give them a little bit more context. What were your habits, or what was were your fears surrounding money before you came to the realization that it's just money? Do you remember?
I don't. Not enough to say in detail, but I just know that I wasn't.
The bills, right? You were not necessarily keeping track of the bills. Like you didn't have a different account for the money coming in and the money going out, stuff like that, so it's just you're making money, you're spending, you're paying your bills out of the same account where the money's coming in, and you're overdrafting, and it's just like I'm bad with money.
Yes, it was the constant anxiety. I can't say that it was something specific, but it was the constant anxiety of said money, which naturally we have, as just being Americans. So we all have that because of the society we live in. But there's levels. And I think it's safe to say I was at an unhealthy level of money fear. And Tyrell's like, dude, it's just what it is. And it's like, even though, it just, I don't know, it just sat with me a certain type of way. And I've done very well since then with just not being afraid of it, not being afraid to possess it, not being afraid to let it go. When I would pay bills, it was like letting go of, like, really trying to prioritize what bill matters the most so I can do what I need to do.
Right. And remember, manifestation is real. Just as quickly as it can go away, it can come back into your life as well. Especially when you get to the point where you start giving it away, right? You don't become a hoarder, not necessarily just with money, but like with things in general, and I had to learn that, man. I was a hustler. I was always trying to make a buck off of somebody, and that. I had the hardest time letting things go for free because they have value, right? But what I learned as I got older is that you don't have to make money off of everybody. You can give stuff away to people without receiving anything back, just for the sake of doing it, because the more you do that, the more of that type of energy gets put into the atmosphere, the more money 100%. Comes back to you.
100%.
And the more good things come back to you. And, that's a very, very powerful manifestation lesson there. So, but yeah, what's one principle do you wish young men would learn earlier or would live by earlier? Let me say that again. What's one principle you wish young men would live by earlier that you find that people don't often do?
Take whatever work you do extremely serious very early. Whether you are starting off at 15 at McDonald's, Cold Stone, Starbucks, whatever, whether you're 20 and you've got a small startup, social media business or t-shirt company or whatever you do, be intentional and take it serious. Because that way, by the time you're 34, almost 35 like myself, you have more than a solid foundation and you can start to focus on other things. Or you leave little to no space for bad judgment calls, I would have to say.
Sure. So essentially, you're wanting young people, young men, to put a focus on a money making activity, something that suits them, something that they're good at, something that they have skills in, and stick to it. So be consistent.
Correct.
Right. Follow through. Consistency is crazy, man.
And don't put so much emphasis on,
perfection.
Well, the fun. As much as I love fun and I believe in fun wholeheartedly, as I've gotten older and really, really, I've done very well at this job that I'm at. Let me be clear. And it's because I've taken it very seriously. I am talented, but the other piece is because I take this job extremely serious. So that's the other piece to me saying that I should be further than a store manager. I should be, but it doesn't change the fact that I go in there and do my big one daily, weekly, monthly, and annually for this company and for myself. So the fun piece will come anyways if that is your path. If you're fun, if you like to have fun, if you surround yourself with people that are fun, that's going to come. That's the advice that I can give, because that's the path that I prioritize fun, and that's I can't help it. But if I could tell a young person early in life that is debating on calling out on a Saturday when that's where you do your best business, think really heavy about that. Try to make arrangements to where you take off next week and schedule something to where you don't feel like you're necessarily a slave to whatever you're doing. Because this doesn't just apply to working for a big box company or for someone else. This is to business owners as well. Because to be a successful business owner, you should really be holding yourself accountable to schedules and deadlines and things like that, time of business when you're going to be posting and stuff like that. So it's okay to say no a time or two. It's okay to miss that trip. But you don't
think
like
bigger picture. You got to think bigger picture. Yeah. long term, man. If we can get folks,
excuse me, y'all.
No, it's cool. If we can get young men and women, young people, you got to think about the future, man. The actions that you take in the present can affect your future greatly.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side, the actions that you take now to plan for the future can pay you immensely if you stay consistent.
I would agree.
So, Merris, I'm going to have you close here because we're about at the hour mark, and we like to keep our episodes neat and tidy around the 55-minute to 1 hour mark. Merris, if someone feels like they're behind in life, what do they need to hear from somebody like you?
Keep going, right? Just keep going, and it's okay to feel like you're behind, right? But you got to ask yourself: are you really, or are you where God intends you to be, right? Because you may be thinking that you're behind, but it's all just a setup, right? As long as you're looking at things in a negative aspect, right, you're not seeing the beauty of it. And you're not putting yourself in a position to absorb everything that's around you, right? Because you could be having a conversation with somebody, right? And they could be teaching you something or informing you about something that you didn't know, right? But because you're so negative and you are so defiant in listening to anybody, you're missing the jewels, you know? And so that's what I would say. Don't be so concerned about where you aren't at, but always keep your eyes and your visions on where you're trying to go. And I think Dante is a perfect example of that, especially earlier where he recognized, like, yes, I've made strides in where I'm at, but I'm not where I want to be. And I think that should be the mindset of everybody. You should never be content. You know, even in the Bible, it says, you know, that God wants us to have a fruitful life. You know, some of the elders, they believe that mean that they say money is the root of all evil, but is it truly? The obsession of money can cause you to do evil things, right?
Correct.
So, yeah. And I think that's a great way to close this. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. We're up to 15 now. Woo! We're up to 15 subscribers. Leave us a comment. What impacted you that was talked about here? Share this. If you're listening to us on Spotify, how's it sound? Does it sound good? Let us know. Share the link out. All of the interactions on social media truly help this brand and this organization grow. Special shout out to my kid brother, DLJ, for coming on the Manifest Change podcast and dropping gems, man. We appreciate it. We did it, guys.
I'm truly humbled to be a part of this. These guys they got some heat coming, so you might as well go ahead and subscribe now.
You might as well,
because this was an appetizer. Hello.
Especially if you've made it this far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It certainly helps. Putting it out there, bro.
Okay.
All good.
So you guys can follow me on Instagram and TikTok _FunkleD_. Maybe on TikTok it may not have the underscores. I'm not as active on TikTok yet. But on Instagram, it's 100% _FunkleD, just how it sounds, _FUNCLEDEE.
He's a budding influencer.
I am. And you guys will enjoy. You'll enjoy. It's only getting better.
It is getting better. You know, I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work, man. And that's all for now, folks.
Thank you guys for having me.
No problem.
You're welcome. Thanks for being on. Peace.
Peace.
Escape the past, no longer looking in the rear view. I'll let you dwell on who I used to be. Shed a tear too. I'm focused on who I'm meant to be. Now we're life official. My only issue ain't an issue, I'ma handle that. That I'm adamant. My new vision and composure, yo, it rattle cats. Cause what you lack inside and what you hide, I'll help you find. Just swallow your pride so inner peace can coincide and it can ride low. Like my peoples in the West, rocking this new version of me like an armor vest, deflecting all bullets of hate, cause I can't relate, manifesting a fresh change in my mind state, cause I'm destined to make